It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Wednesday, August 28th. I'm Wendy Corr, bringing you headlines from the Cowboy State Daily newsroom, brought to you by Serve Wyoming, Wyoming's Center for Volunteerism and AmeriCorps service for the last 30 years. For volunteer opportunities, visit servewyoming.org. At least 3 of Wyoming's 5 major wildfires saw rain Monday, which helped firefighters make some progress on containing fires that have so far burned nearly 460,000 acres in Wyoming and southern Montana. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports on Wyoming's notable fires.
There just were not huge changes as far as the size of each fire, though we saw some small gains in containment, with the biggest gain, I believe like an 11% gain in the containment of the Flat Rock fire, which is a pretty residential ranch area there in western Campbell County. Some of these were helped by rain, though, as we discussed Monday, the rain doesn't help as much up in the very timber-laden Fish Creek fire area.
Over the last few weeks of the Wyoming Republican primary race for U.S. Senate, challenger Reed Reisner touted some highly questionable political polling results he claimed showed he was in a dead heat with incumbent Senator John Barrasso. But not only wasn't the election close, it proved Reisner's paid polls to be incredibly inaccurate, as Barrasso beat Reisner by 44 percentage points. That's according to politics reporter Leo Wolfson.
I spoke to Reisner, and he said, "Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't have released this poll if I knew it was so inaccurate. It kind of goes against what my campaign was all about and transparency. Quite frankly, polling is just not what it used to be. There's a lot of more challenges for pollsters than there used to be as far as getting a hold of people and getting people kind of engaged in these polls. But there's also the effects of people just lying on these polling results."
No matter whether Reisner gave out accurate polling information or not, his campaign was likely doomed by other factors, such as Barrasso's strong popularity and the missteps Reisner made along the campaign trail, such as posting photos he took with people without their permission. Colorado-based Energy Fuels Incorporated, which holds a key uranium production center in Wyoming, along with interests in critical rare earth minerals, has expanded into development and production of medical isotopes used in cancer treatments. Energy reporter Pat Mayo says that Energy Fuels is one of the few uranium-producing businesses that's looked beyond just supplying the critical uranium ore to the nuclear fuel industry.
The company, Energy Fuels, has acquired a company called Radtran, which is involved in medical radioisotopes that can treat cancer. So that's a significant move, and you obviously need uranium and some processing of uranium to have that kind of equipment to help with the treatment of cancer.
In May, Energy Fuels announced plans to begin preparing for ramping up its Nichols Ranch uranium mine near KC for production by 2025. And now let's take a look at today's weather with Cowboy State Daily meteorologist Don Day.
It's going to be a windy Wednesday across the Cowboy State. Another front is coming in from the Pacific Northwest. Unlike the last front that swooped right across the state, this one's going to stay more north along the U.S.-Canadian border. That usually means when storms go north, we get windy. This will be especially true with the wind, gusty at times in the central, the south, and the far western parts of the state. Unfortunately, that means some wind over some of the fire areas. The front, though, won't bring much moisture. In fact, all of that's going to go north into Montana and southern Canada. Then it's back to a dry forecast, but less wind and comfortable temperatures Thursday and Friday.
You can get Don's full forecast on the Cowboy State Daily website. I'll be back in just 15 seconds with more news.
Your attention is precious. That's why Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming works hard to make navigating your health care easier. Because having the right health insurance means not having to think about it, letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue.
A towering Cheyenne man who many business owners dread for his tendency to hex and threaten them while wielding a staff is now facing a felony charge on claims that he tore up documents at an election center in the city a couple of weeks before last week's primary. 43-year-old Joshua Hayden Ali has frustrated many Cheyenne business owners for years, especially in the historic downtown area. And Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports the man, who calls himself Wisdom, was charged on suspicion of causing chaos at an election center in Cheyenne before the primary election.
he's been facing a smattering of misdemeanors over the past few years. But in the meantime, he gained a reputation among many Cheyenne business owners as just a terror. But then on August 9th, after early voting opened up, though it was before the primary election, he allegedly strode into the election center in the courthouse in Cheyenne and just started tearing up documents and causing all sorts of mayhem.
The Laramie County Sheriff's Office arrested Hayden Ali in June on claims that he threatened to kill a Safeway fuel station attendant and her family while he accosted the attendant at the station on the South Greeley Highway. The city of Jackson, Wyoming, which is among the wealthiest in America, has received a $5.5 million grant from the federal government to expand its network of electrical vehicle charging stations. Jackson, along with regional partners in Teton County, will receive the grant as part of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act's $2.5 billion charging and fueling infrastructure program. That's according to energy reporter Pat Mayo.
Let's face it, Wyoming is not a big EV type of place. There's a lot of that, what everyone calls range anxiety, that concern of getting from one place to the next because there's like 150 miles to go. Millions of dollars are flowing to Jackson to install charging ports all over the place in that part of the world, the Jackson Hole area, all throughout Teton County. There'll be a few of them, I think, that are going to be installed up around Yellowstone, others around Grand Teton National Park.
No other city in the Cowboy State was mentioned in Tuesday's announcement from the Biden administration. And Colorado's newest wolves, 3 pups born this spring, are growing fast and could be up to about 50 pounds each. That's according to a video recently taken by an outdoorsman and verified by that state's Parks and Wildlife Department. A Colorado outdoorsman told Outdoors reporter Mark Hines that he and his son happened upon the wolves completely by chance about 2 weeks ago.
And they came around a corner, and here's these 3 wolf pups, about 4 months old, 56, the 50-pound range, just playing in a puddle like dog puppies would. And then their mom shows up, and then something startles them, and they take off. We've reported before at Cowboy State Daily that as of June, I think there was at least 1 wolf pup known to have been born to the wolves that were reintroduced at the very tail end of last year. And so now that count is officially up to 3.
CPW officials announced this month that the plan is still to bring in more wolves this winter, but it's not certain where they will come from. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the daily newsletter button on cowboystatedaily.com. And you can watch this newscast every day by clicking subscribe on our YouTube channel. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily.